Hi, I'm Sarah, and I'm here to tell you about the moment I realized my childhood memories didn't match reality, and the bizarre journey I went on to uncover the truth. What started as innocent nostalgia turned into a mind-bending mystery involving forgotten faces, hidden secrets, and a truth I never saw coming. Let me walk you through this strange tale. Growing up, I always had fond memories of my childhood home. It was a cozy little house on Elm Street with a big oak tree in the yard. I spent countless hours playing there, pretending the tree was a magical portal to another world. My parents were loving, my younger brother was my best friend, and life was good. But recently, while visiting my hometown, something felt off. The house was still there, but the oak tree was gone. Not just cut down, there was no sign it had ever existed. The yard was flat, like it had always been empty. When I asked my mom about it, she gave me a puzzled look. "What oak tree?" she said. That was the first crack in the illusion. I brushed it off at first, thinking maybe I'd misremembered. But then, more inconsistencies started popping up. I had vivid memories of a family vacation to Yellowstone when I was 8. We'd taken photos by Old Faithful, my dad had made terrible jokes about geysers, and I'd even gotten a stuffed bear from the gift shop. But when I brought it up, my dad laughed. "Sarah, we've never been to Yellowstone." I brushed it off at first, thinking maybe I'd misremembered. But then, more inconsistencies started popping up. What was going on? How could I remember things so clearly that apparently never happened? It wasn't just small details either. My memories of certain people seemed to differ wildly from how they actually were. For example, I remembered my Uncle Mark as a cheerful, fun-loving guy. But when I met him recently, he was cold, distant, and barely seemed to know me. I couldn't let it go. I started going through old family photos and home videos, trying to find evidence that matched my memories. But the more I looked, the more I realized how much was missing. The oak tree wasn't in any of the pictures of our yard. There were no photos from Yellowstone. Even my stuffed bear was nowhere to be found. I decided to dig deeper. I contacted old neighbors and childhood friends, asking about the tree, the trips, anything. Most of them didn't remember the details, but one neighbor, Mrs. Hargrove, gave me a strange look when I mentioned the oak tree. "You always talked about that tree," she said, "but none of us ever saw it. We just thought you had a big imagination." Then there was my brother, Ben. He was always quiet when I brought up the past, and when I pressed him, he finally admitted, "Sarah, I don't remember half the things you talk about. It's like you grew up in a different house." The turning point came when I found an old journal I'd kept as a kid. Flipping through the pages, I found detailed entries about the oak tree, the Yellowstone trip, and Uncle Mark, all just as I remembered them. But then I found something else, an entry about a therapist I'd seen as a child. I had no memory of this. I asked my mom about it, and her face went pale. She admitted that when I was 7, I had frequent nightmares and confused memories. They'd taken me to a child psychologist, who suggested I might be creating imaginary scenarios to cope with something traumatic. But when I asked what the trauma was, my mom clammed up. "I don't think you're ready for that," she said. I kept pushing, and eventually, my dad let something slip. "You had an imaginary friend, Sarah. A man you called Mr. Willows. We thought he was harmless, but then you started saying strange things about him, things that scared us." I finally found the truth in an old file my parents had kept hidden. It contained notes from my therapist and police reports. When I was 6, a man named William Willows Jacobs had been caught trespassing in our backyard. He claimed to be checking on the tree. The police investigation revealed that he'd been lurking around our neighborhood for weeks. They found a hidden compartment in his van with photos of me, our house, and even drawings of the oak tree. After his arrest, I started having nightmares and created elaborate stories to make sense of what happened. My parents had the tree removed and tried to erase everything to protect me. That's why my memories didn't match reality. They were a patchwork of truth and fiction, pieced together by a scared little girl trying to cope. Even now, it's hard to separate fact from fiction in my mind. But I've come to terms with the truth and found peace in knowing my parents did what they thought was best to protect me. What about you? Have you ever uncovered something about your past that didn't match your memories? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more chilling Reddit tales. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.